Bring those cocktails right in. A little cheers.
You can cut that in.
Cocktails.
Hey.
Welcome to another episode of The Collective Perspective. Today we are going to talk about Patron. We're going to talk about events.
Hi, I'm Chenoa Johnson. I'm the Director of Event Marketing at Patron Tequila. I've been at Patron for 10 years and running events for 5 years.
When I think of events, I mean, in the brand world, I do think of Patron. And then I think of Patron, I think of you. Well, you're running events for Patron nationwide. You have a big team.
Small team.
I mean, I'll get right to it. How do you manage a nation for a company like Patron?
A lot of organization, a lot of Google Sheets.
Okay.
Lots of Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Post-event, analysis and evaluating strategy and all that stuff. So there's the whole event planning, sourcing, coordinating piece, but then on top of that, you have to consider the bigger brand picture. So there's a lot of different ways you manage that. Primarily for events, communication's key. Lots of phone calls, lots of face-to-face meetings. My event team is myself and my two team members, and then we have obviously we work very closely with the PR team, the digital and social content team, and trying to make sure all those goals align. So Slack is really useful for that. We have channels for every topic, every event.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful.
Everyone on the team is on that Slack.
Yeah. Well, we have one just for my event group, and then one for the broader marketing team. That's been really helpful to keep topics streamlined.
Yeah.
But I would say phone conversations are really important. A lot of moving details and bouncing ideas off. Emails are helpful for the bigger planning and laying out the primary details and summarizing the top view.
Yeah.
And keeping track of the moving pieces, but a lot of phone conversations to build things out, to ideate, to get creative.
Do you have these phone calls planned? Is it a daily? Is it a weekly?
Yeah, it's by project. For big projects, we tend to have, more as we're in the planning phase. Then once we get up and running, we'll have a weekly status, especially for ones that have multiple event series. For my team managing down, because we travel so much and we're on site for events, I try not to overload people's calendars with unnecessary conference calls that are going to get canceled because of everyone's moving schedules. To people you report upwards to, I highly recommend having bi-weekly standing calls so you can, keep them abreast of what you're doing, share that information, because if you're out in the field like we are all the time, people don't always see all the work you're doing. So it's really helpful for your own self to communicate that upwards. I keep very close with my team through Slack and daily conversations. Yeah. But if I feel like we haven't touch base for a while, then I'll schedule a call that week or something.
You mentioned Slack. Is there any other technology that you use for, whether it be Trello or Asana, or is there project management, or is it?
No, I'm pretty Google Sheets driven.
Whatever works, right?
We have some formats. We have a budget tracker. Within that, there's a standard budget template that you can use, and that's for a really big event, but you can tailor that down to smaller planning. There's so many different reporting needs and planning and tracking needs right now that I think it's a constant challenge to edit out to not overextend yourself across too many channels. Yeah, I try to keep it within email, Slack, and Google Sheets. I've found that when you try to use too many different points, you're then which one is this one in? And
right.
So I
try to searching, overworking. Yeah.
And I think just in general, with the amount of details that go into events and planning, the more you can streamline things and keep things in one place, the better organized you're going to be, and the fewer things that are going to fall through the cracks.
How much are you, I wouldn't say micromanaging, but how much hands-on are you, and then you hand it off to somebody, and then you just let them go?
My direct team that reports to me, the two people, they're both senior managers, right? But then, of course, I hire a lot of agencies, a lot of staff and stuff. So, that depends on the needs, how much oversight and management there is. I have a lot of confidence in my team, so typically when I hand something off to them, I let them run with it. I'll check in on some of the bigger details or the due dates and see what they're executing, to stay on top of it. Because I'm the director of the marketing team, I'll tend to handle the bigger programs from the start and get the ball rolling, and then maybe hand off the executional on-site piece. I still will do some events especially if they're one of our bigger platforms. I'll have my whole team on site and we all kind of will delegate roles. At Aspen Food and Wine, it's a really busy weekend. It's all day tasting events. There's then there's like a seminar, and there's other events on the side, VIP tasting rooms that we host. So you have a lot of different moving pieces. So we're all on the ground.
Are you creating your own events, or is it more of you are plugging into existing festivals, events, or event series?
We're pretty scrappy. Patron's a big brand, but we are actually a pretty small comparatively to a lot of other brands in terms of how we spend in marketing, and also, as you know, the size of our team, right? We accomplish a lot with a very comparatively small budget and small team. And so in order to do that, we do a lot of sponsorship versus proprietary events. I would say our mix is about 60-40, 60% are sponsored.
How do you choose? Right, you're probably getting inundated with this sponsorship, this festival. Aspen Wine. Is just because the brand has a focus on one certain area, or do you say, I'm choosing this over this because why?
There's like a few priorities. The first one would be our target audiences, which are established at a higher, strategic level for the brand.
Yeah.
Like, are we leaning into the younger drinking audience, or are we leaning into a particular cultural mindset? So there's some targets there that we look for opportunities in. And then there's also like-minded partners. Fever Tree, for example, we have a co-branded product with them. So we do a lot of events together. So I support their events and vice versa. There's also taking on new sponsorships to explore, new avenues of whether it's like a different type of music festival or a creative or an art one. So sometimes I take on these one-offs to see if it's a good fit for us. And then sometimes it's just timing. We might have some openings in the calendar, and something is appealing to somebody on the team, whether because they believe in the project, the idea, or the people behind it. Because I think a big part of events and being able to enjoy your life in events is working with people you enjoy working with, right? Because it's high stress. There's a lot of communication and time spent with these people, and you need to be able to work well with them. So you find those people, and you tend to do more stuff with them, and whether it's agencies or staffing companies or whatever, and they you find the people you work well with and do more work with them and find more opportunities that way.
If somebody wants to join your team, right, and you want to hire somebody, what are you looking for skill set wise? Maybe a couple of things you can touch upon, and also the intangibles. Like, what are you personally looking for to work with you on your team?
Well, obviously high energy. We're like always on the go. Because you have to be bold in events, especially. You need to be able to get in places and get stuff done.
Right.
And a lot of times, it's uncomfortable.
It's not for the timid.
And you have to demand stuff of people, like in their own venues or something. And you have to, and you have to boss a lot of people around. So you have to be a certain personality for that. People who are creative. And I don't mean like you don't have to be an artist or something, but like can come up with ideas, or also see trends out there, like people who have their finger on the pulse, so to speak, of what's cool right now. Because it's super important at events that you're using the latest like photo booth technology or the latest cocktail trends, and so they have to be out there in the mix a little bit.
Right.
For me, especially because I work on a spirits brand, I want somebody who is passionate about that, right? Because the biggest goal that we are trying to accomplish through our events is delivering an elevated cocktail experience, right? We want liquid to lips. That's our goal, right? If that's not something that's of interest or exciting to someone, then they're going to miss a key part of what we're trying to deliver. High energy, but easygoing, because I think events pose a lot of challenges. There's a lot of things don't go right, and so you really have to be. I prefer to be around people who keep their cool, because you see people in event environments that freak out, and it sets the tone. And it really causes chaos all around. So you need people who can like keep their cool and problem solvers, because pretty much there's always things that go wrong at events, right? And the skill you need to have is working through it in a way that the people attending the event don't notice that. Glassware didn't show up, or something essential didn't show up, like can that person come up with a creative solution really quickly?
When I do go to any of your events, I'm always welcomed with like, hey, big smile, and you're having fun, and there might be a drink in your hand. When it's go time, or if you see something wrong, or if someone gets in your ear, you flip. And not in a bad way, you just get into very problem-solving mode. Is this something that you cultivate over the years, something you learned? Has it always been in you? How do you balance it to where you're happy and then you got to go to work and then you're happy again? Like,
some of that I think is my innate personality. I'm pretty easygoing, but I know when work needs to get done, I can get it done, and get it done with a smile on my face. And some of it is it's on the job learning, right? Like how do you face these challenges and overcome, but also remembering, like, again, I always say at the end of the day, like, it's just booze, it's just a party.
Right.
Like, the world's not going to come undone over this. If you don't think it's the end of the world, you're not going to respond to it like it's the end of the world.
A message to event producers out there: stop doing this, or you should have this, or is there something trends that you're just like, man, I wish these event producers were a little bit better on this?
Planning, be aware of timelines. Always like strive to have your event ready to go and the doors open 15 minutes before your start time. Because we know most people don't actually show up on time, right? But your staff and everyone should be ready for that one person that walks in early. Because if people start walking in and things aren't ready, then it just starts snowballing and it's really hard to get caught up. Yep. So it's really important that you like plan accordingly and like allow enough setup time and production time for everyone to be in position before doors are supposed to open. Yep. And that way also everyone's in a better mood, things are cool. I would say flow is really important. It's really interesting to me sometimes when the layouts or setups aren't very friendly and like everyone packs into one space, or there's the door setup isn't. Right. There's nothing I hate more than the poorly managed door situation where it's like chaos and there's supposed to be VIPs, but there's not, and there's like miscommunication. Those two, I think, being ready on time sets the tone for the event. Yeah. And then also, being really cognizant about flow and how people will move around in spaces and making it accommodating, and then also keeping it clean, because I think that's another big thing to me. If there's like, you should always, it doesn't cost that much money to have extra staff committed to, and also make sure the staff you have is like engaged and will do all the jobs, right? So like everyone should always be working, and it's like I do it too. I'll walk by and pick stuff up and be like, this table's messy, it shouldn't look like that. Like, so you want your event to always be at its best level, right? So it's important to kind of set those standards.
Somebody who's coming up wants to be an event director, or somebody wants to be a marketing manager, or run marketing, someone that wants to be you, right? You can talk to your younger self, I guess.
I would say, find your interest. And a lot of times I think people don't realize that individuals might not even realize all the things that you do within your current job. And I think a lot of times, like, recognize the skill sets you have, because a lot of times you pigeonhole yourself into thinking this is what your job is. But if you think of it from a broader set, like, it took me a while to understand that, like, even when I didn't have direct reports, I actually managed a lot of people, because I managed agencies and suppliers and staffing, and every event I was managing, a lot of people. So you gotta realize your skill set sometimes is not as clearly defined as maybe your job description is, and there's a lot of skills you're building that you can apply, but also it's about raising your hand and doing things that are of interest to you. Like, so even when I was on the sales side, I still kind of did some event stuff with my accounts to improve their experience with my brand, right? So I supported it that way. So, I mean, whatever you're in, I would say find the things that really interest you, and then look for comparable, jobs or people, and raise your hand and, find ways to participate in that.
Cheers. I really appreciate your insight. I appreciate you spilling drinks on me.
That's what I do.
The best in the game. I mean, your events are always awesome.
Thank you.
I appreciate everything. So that's it. Another episode. Appreciate it. See you guys next time.